Hello, thank you so much for joining me on another video of my healing journey from domestic abuse and parental alienation. Today's topic is some advice I have for other parents going through parental alienation and in looking back how I would do things differently today. I left in my last video talking about how I was sued for divorce. Also, he was looking for alimony and full custody, and it totally blindsided me because I was not expecting it. And being sued for divorce is different than being served with divorce papers. Being sued for divorce is very serious, and I had a hard time getting an attorney that would take me, and they were requiring a large sum of money up front because of the allegations. Either way, my divorce took 2 years, and we didn't really have a lot of property. We just had a house, we had an RV, we had a motorcycle, stuff like that, but we weren't rich. And it took 2 years because he was making everything very difficult. But in the end, once the divorce was final, it was really a waste of time. But this is what you deal with when you deal with manipulators. And so once the divorce was final, he did not get custody of our child. I had my child, I think it was 3 days 1 week and 4 days the next overnight. So it was pretty close to part-time. I think it was minus 1 day. And that's how he got the child support. And that's fine because I had a busy career. I was fine with it. And so anyway, but he still kept trying to pull me into court. He kept trying to get custody. I went through this for like 8 years. It was crazy. And it was exhausting. It affected my health. I have a chronic illness, and I kept ending up in the hospital from the stress of everything. And what you go through when you watch your child being used like a pawn like that, it just tears you up inside. And I had mentioned another mother I talked to about 3 years ago where she said she felt like she's going to have a nervous breakdown. And that's where they put you because they do things that you would never even comprehend doing. And you're like, oh my goodness, how could they do this to our child? And it was very painful. It was very painful. But that whole time, he never got what he wanted. He never got the alimony that he wanted. And he never got full custody. But he did get a divorce. So anyway, my advice, and I saw this show called Ayanna Fixed My Life. But I thought she was with these kind of people, you have to be strategic. And that's what I've learned throughout the years. If you're dealing with a master manipulator, you have to emotionally remove yourself from it, and you have to be strategic in how you deal with them. But in this show, she was trying to give advice to a pro football's ex-wife, star's ex-wife, who wanted custody of the kids. And he was just doing it for control, to hurt her. And Ayanna's advice, and this is something I 100% agree with. If your child is not being abused, if their needs are getting met, let them have custody. Because, and what she said, and it's true, because that's what happened to me. When you do this, they're probably going to show up on your doorstep a few months later. And it sounds so counterintuitive to what you want to do. But me looking back now, for 8 years of fighting in court, I could have saved myself a lot of heartache. Our child wouldn't have had to go through everything they went through. And that they really don't want the child in this particular situation. So this is very specific, and that's really important to remember. If they're being fed, they're not being abused, they're getting sent to school, they're wearing clean clothes, doing what they're supposed to do. Only in those, and that they're doing it just to hurt you and just to keep re-engaging with you. Looking back, I wish I would have done it a lot sooner. And it took me up to 8 years before I was exhausted. I almost died 3 times from 3 different ailments, and my doctors were telling me I had to stop this stuff or I was going to die. And I was close to death when I went into court. And it was 8 years after the fact. I went in with a cane, and I was very sick. I didn't know if I was going to live or not. And I obtained a no contact order because he kept harassing me through the phone, screaming at me, calling me a bad mother. It was just horrible. And so I got a no contact order where he would have to write me as it pertains to our child only. It couldn't be about me. And then I also, in tandem, gave up custody of our son. He was 16 at the time. And I did it because I honestly didn't know if I was going to live or not. And I was just like to the point where, nothing else has worked here. Let me just try letting go. And I did that. And I went and took care of myself. I had surgery and took care of myself probably for the first time in my life. I really started focusing on myself and my health. And so, unfortunately, after that, he ramped up his efforts, and the property damage got to the point where it was so extreme. Basically, he ran me out of town, in my opinion. But the thing is my son did show up looking for me after that happened, but I was gone. And that was the issue. In my particular situation, my ex is dangerous to me. So I had to leave because it was getting to the point where I was very concerned. And it was just ridiculous. The property damage was insane. And the shelter was also concerned about me. And they strongly advised me it was time for me to go. So I left. And but my son did come looking for me. And so, but if hopefully your situation isn't as extreme as mine is, but either way, if you're in a situation where it's a tug of war with the child and the other parent is taking care of them, not being abusive, my advice is to let them have custody. But that's not what they want. When I gave up custody in court, my ex was so angry. And that's when his mask dropped and he lit into me in front of the judge because he wanted to keep re-engaging with me. He wanted the fight. He wanted a reason to fight and to keep this going. And I basically there was no reason for him to contact me anymore at all. And that's not what he really wanted. So you have to be strategic with these people, unfortunately. A lot of people tell you to fight, and all this stuff. But if this is a specific situation where they're doing it to hurt you, the best thing you can do is just let go, as long as they're being taken care of and they're not being abused. And you probably most likely will see your children a lot sooner, because what you're doing is you're not giving them control over you. You're not giving them a reason to engage with you. And that's what they're looking for. So once you remove that from that situation, they really don't want the children. And it's sad. It's sad that people can be so cold like that. But that would be my advice, only if you're in that particular situation. Now, if your child's being abused, absolutely not. But I'm talking about where it's just parental alienation, where where the other parent is doing it on purpose to hurt the other parent, and the child gets hurt, And it's a big mess. And it was sad. I mean, I went to court for 8 years, and the court knew us by our first names when we walked in. And every time we had court, they would send out a security guard to stand between us. It was really sad. And because he would always have to sit across from me, and he would just stare at me, you know. So my situation is probably a little bit more extreme than other people's, but that would be my advice. It's very counterintuitive to what you would want to do, but I would strongly recommend it, because today, had I done that, I would have probably ended up with my child. I would have been a lot healthier and a lot happier. And you know, there's a lot of videos on YouTube about you know, narcissists negotiating and divorce with them, and they are absolutely correct. You have to be strategic with these people. You have to figure out the why. Why are they doing this? What are they gaining from it? And unfortunately, in my particular situation, he just wanted a reason to engage with me, to keep the fight going. And I was done fighting, because I wasn't sure if I was going to live or not. I was like, you know what? Here you go. And that's how it ended. So I hope that helps. And I do think it's really important. You know, had I done it differently today, things may have completely turned out differently. I think it's a situation where letting go or letting them get what they want, but it's not really what they want. You know, they want to keep it going. And when you give them a reason to not keep it going, you might end up getting what you really want, which is your children, so you can love them and take care of them and be in their life.